Transcripts and recordings of the podcast may not be used for any purpose without the direct written permission of the podcast owner. Welcome to LITE It Up, a podcast about resilient women balancing motherhood, their careers, personal lives, and all of the challenges that come along with being a superwoman. Each week, you'll be motivated to take action to lead, inspire, transform, and empower. Now, here's your host, Dr. Aginah M. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of LITE It Up. I am your host, Dr. Aginah M. I am so excited about this week's episode because I have a very special guest, someone that I've known for probably about 30 years. We'll talk about that throughout this episode, but I have a very well-rounded individual who is an artist. He's also a fireman, EMT, and we'll talk about that as well, and talk about how he came into his artistry. But today's guest is Mr. Robert Channing Owens.
Hello, Dr. Aginah M. Muhammad. It is an honor and a privilege to be here with you. Such a beautiful smile you have.
Well, thank you so very much.
You left out psychotherapist.
That's right. That's right. And we definitely have to talk about this. And I'm looking at this here because you attended the Illinois School of Professional Psychology.
Yes,
and perhaps that's how we can kind of gauge the audience in terms of getting them involved in this conversation as far as your unique background, because you are so much more than an artist. But our sitting down today has actually been a long time coming. We've been trying to get scheduled for a little while, but you've been on the road and going cross country because you've got some exciting things that are happening that we'll talk about. But for the audience, I did mention that we go back, I think it has been almost 30 years. So maybe not at least, right?
Yeah, because what did we read, 2023? So wow. Oh yeah, it's probably, so maybe around 93 or so, 92-ish, 93.
No, it had to be
94,
95.
94, right. Yep, 94. Okay.
We attended the University of Illinois, Chicago together.
Right, yep.
And I think we had a sociology class together.
Probably.
Yeah. So why don't you tell the audience a little bit about your background, because you did earn your degree. You received your degree from UIC in psychology, and then you went on to pursue a graduate degree from the Illinois School of Professional Psychology, where you got your master's degree in healthcare administration.
Correct.
So walk us through a little bit about your background.
Absolutely. Well, my decision to pursue psychology came really because a lot of my story has to do with my mother. And so she's a prominent psychologist. And so the funny thing about it is she shied me away from going into the field. And it was a monetary reason for that. But I always had an interest in human behavior. So it was an interesting field for me, but I certainly always was a money-driven person. I mean, I'm a capitalist. So, it was something to consider. So when I finally made the decision to go into psychology, the coursework that I was taking was interesting to me. And so, I decided to finish and get my undergraduate. And then I started working in the field as what was I doing at first? I worked in a CILA, which is a community integrated living arrangement. And it was like a direct care staff and pretty much medication monitoring. It wasn't anything like psychotherapy or anything like that because I didn't have the experience. But as time went on, I actually, my first clinical position was as a diagnostician for Mount Sinai Mile Square Community Mental Health Center. And so I did this fresh after getting my bachelor's degree. And I was given an opportunity to be part of a clinical staffing team. and they basically taught me the DSM-3 at that time, and then we moved into the DSM-4. So I got good at being able to give clinical diagnosis, and subsequently that led into me pursuing the field further as I worked in the field as a therapist, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, the master's degree decision was I worked in the field for a while, and my mother was right. Uh, you don't make a lot of money as in the social work arena. So I said, well, I'm a businessman and I'm in the healthcare industry. So I looked into getting a business master's degree in healthcare administration. And so the Illinois School of Professional Psychology was offering a program for that. And so I pursued it, and I got that degree in short order, about a year and a half or so. And then I got hired as business manager for the Pediatric Developmental Center at Advocate. And well, I think I had a director position at a company that was called CERC. I was over the different Scylla houses. But after I got my master's degree, I got an administrative position for a hospital. So yeah, so I can keep going now. you know.
But there is something to, I will say, the connection then to your work in healthcare, and then transitioning to becoming a fireman
Mhm.
EMT, because historically there was some history made here in Chicago
Yeah.
in terms of how you became a part of the Chicago Fire Department.
Big,
So,
yeah, big time history. Well, in 1995, there was a test given, and I took the test because my neighbor was a fireman, and
mhm,
I would always see him at home, and me and my brother never knew what he did. And then one day he really didn't wasn't open with it. I don't know, he was a white guy, so he said he finally told us he was a fireman, and
mhm,
so we were thinking, well, well, we're living in Beverly, and this guy's hardly at home, so this must be a good career. So we decided, me and a group of my friends, to take the test. Well, we passed the test, but we never got called. And so my best friend told me the litigation had been filed because we were passed up on, and so they were trying to fight it. I never really paid it attention. I just had my man, oh, please, I'll never get this position. So lo and behold, 13 and a half, 14 years later, I got a big package. And this package went out to probably about 6,000 different people that were eligible to either take the position, or they were giving us a cash settlement.
mhm,
Well, I was actually a therapist, and I was the clinical head of the REACH program for thresholds,
mhm.
and it was a good position, but firemen pay better. So yeah, so I was working two positions as a therapist at the time, so it was taking up a lot of my time. So I said, well, let me throw my what is it, my hat in the thing, whatever. Let me just take a chance, right?
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so when I did, I was lucky enough to be one of 1,200 people that were narrowed down to having a chance to get into this group that was defined as being 111 individuals. And so that's why the class action class is affectionately called the 111, though only 105 of us
Mhm.
actually, I believe, made it through the academy.
Okay. Okay.
But it was a trip because I was like 38, 39 at the time, and the average age was 48
Okay.
of the brothers. And it's really a testimony to the strength of these brothers, because they were getting down in there, and they went through it was a rigorous, stressful process. All of us had lives that we were living. I mean, it was really it's made for the movies, so we had to just kind of throw our careers in and
Mhm,
put everything on the line and just jump in this academy. And you got to have a certain grade average for the EMT, or
mhm.
I saw brothers get walked out of there. It was heartbreaking. And then at the same time, you had to have the physical strength and stamina to actually, qualify to be a Chicago fireman EMT. Yeah. So.
And who knows, maybe there will be a story
Oh
documentary
yeah.
on that. So now I am curious to know, because we're not here, of course, to talk about you being a fireman or talk about your work in healthcare administration, but I just wanted to give the audience a sense of who you are
Right.
person. And you mentioned that you were inspired to go into the field of psychology by your mother.
Yes.
I am curious to know, how does because we're here to talk about your talent as an artist.
Yes.
Oh, how did you come into, is this a natural born talent
Mhm.
in terms of your artistry? Um,
Mhm.
did you take classes?
Mhm.
What's
Okay. No,
story?
I never took a class. Once again, my mother.
Okay.
My mother was, man, she's one of the most.
Important mothers are.
Oh yeah, oh big time. Mother, hey, look, the first teacher of the child, right?
That's right.
Oh yeah, I love my mother. She's probably, the closest person to me, because I spent a lot of time with her. But when I was young, she would draw anything real fast, like me and my brother would just be amazed at how good she was. But I know, at least I never knew I could had this in my DNA. And I could recall I was in first grade going to Timothy Lutheran Grammar School, and I had the homework assignment was to draw a church. And when I drew the church, it looked exactly like the church, and I jumped up in the bed with my mother on the shoulder.
Yeah.
And it was from that point that me and my brother started drawing Marvel comic strips. And then we started making our own comics and storyline. That's my older brother, William. Shout
Okay.
out to William. So he's probably as good as an artist as I am, but he hasn't cultivated or used it. But he was very good. My younger sister, who's like 9.5 years younger than me, she's extremely good. So it's in the DNA. And I even think my father can draw, but he never really, but I've seen him do like caricatures before. So I probably got like a double dose of whatever it is, that hemisphere of the brain. But yeah, so that was my initial motivation.
Okay.
And I'll be totally candid. I became real popular in grammar school for
Mhm.
being an artist. They would stop class and all the kids would jump up and the hands would fly up because I could take at least two people with me to help because all school projects were on me. And I was saying recently on the interview that I would always get the pretty girl first. And,
Oh
hey, hey, well, hey, and
my.
then I would go for one of my friends, and it was like a fun time for me. But I was real popular and well known for that in grammar school. But I stopped in high school. I can't tell you why. I just stopped.
Okay.
Now, lo and behold, my first year of college at Illinois State, I go down there. I was young
Mhm.
and I lost my way, and my academics got me in trouble.
Is that how you came to UIC? Is by
I,
way
I
you
had to start over. Yes.
okay.
so so when I started over fresh, that's how I wound up at UIC.
Okay.
So I had to toss that whole year out because it wasn't honorable grade wise. So being depressed, but that year, because I went to college 92, 93 was my first year in college. I had saw the Malcolm X movie with my friends. And I left the theater, and I'm telling you, I'll be totally honest, I took something good from the movie. And so we were getting ready to go to a party, and I was saying to him, man, I don't think I'm going tonight. And my buddy turned around, he said, man, I might make a change in my life, but I'm not gonna make it tonight. And so I was like, all right, but I just go ahead. But I did not have a favorable view from the movie of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So when I forgot all about the movie, but when I was in that depressed state when I got home, I wanted to read the autobiography book of Malcolm X, and I read it. And when I read it, it did not read like the movie, and
Right.
so it was talking more positive about Elijah Muhammad, and so it made me curious. And my brother was like really into the teachings at the time, and he was getting ready to go to Savior's Day. I had no idea what Savior's Day was, but he was like real militant and had the leather coat and the kufi, and he was looking mad. I was like, man, where you going? And he said, Savior's Day. And so it just struck me. And it was a book, Message to the Black Man, in the little cabinet library we had. I picked it up, couldn't put it down. But I'll tell you this, and this is the honest to God truth. Voice went off in my head when I kept hearing the message of self-reliance and do for self, paint, draw.
Mhm.
And the first thing I ever drew was the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And I've never revealed that particular on canvas work that I did, but that's when it started. And that's when I started drawing, and that's when people started recognizing what my gift was. And so that's where my Rob C. Owens artistry was birthed from that.
Well, look at there. Look at how the universe works.
Yes.
And because of your artistry, you have actually given me a great gift.
Yeah.
I paid for the gift, no, but
Mhm.
you were commissioned by
Yes.
me, so full
Yes.
transparency, to create this beautiful portrait of my
Honored.
late father, Munir Muhammad, and
Absolutely.
we had the and that was in 2020, and
Yeah.
we filled it at the Coalition for the Remembrance of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's Founders Day. And
Absolutely.
that was our first Founders Day after the passing of my father. And I wanted to, it is on loan
Right.
at the Crow Studios, but I
Right.
wanted this portrait to be positioned over
Thank you.
his feet,
Mhm.
where he hosted Muhammad and Friends, the Munir Muhammad Show, and several other programs. And so I thank you because the picture, and I'll make sure that I show it so everybody can see your great artistry. Uh, but the picture that I asked you to recreate, he's standing in front of Crow. It's one of my favorite pictures of my father, and it was when their headquarters moved from 91st and Ashland over to 71st and Artesian. But it's one of my favorite pictures of my father. And I'll say this, go on record to say I'm grateful also to my mother and my brother for allowing me to even select that particular picture or pose, even for his headstone.
Right.
So
Okay.
um, they they gave me the autonomy of making that selection, but that particular that canvas, that piece of artistry is something that is very near and dear to me. So I am happy that every time uh, his show is aired,
Yeah.
people can see him positioned right over his.
And it looks beautiful, and it's one of the greatest honors of my career. So I am glad that I could help you cement your father's legacy in such a magnificent way. And thank you.
You're
Thank you.
But you have also,
Mhm.
I mean, but your artwork and it was because I'd seen some of your artwork before
Mhm.
that and because you knew my father
Yeah,
also, it was important to me. I'm very intentional about,
that was
the things
mhm.
I do. Because I
That
couldn't
was
have,
very no, that was very wise because yes, I knew Munir and he was a great man. And because even it's different when you draw something and you can't feel it.
Mhm.
So I could feel it. So just even the entry soundtrack that plays on the show, that was going a lot while I was painting it.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ah, no, but and I even remember before you would show me little.
Oh, clip right, the process.
Yeah, the
Right.
process of it, which is just interesting. So for people who
Hmm.
may not understand, and I know every artist has their own technique.
Hmm.
When you are when you are in that frame of mind of curating a piece for someone,
Hmm.
do you how do you get the inspiration? Where does that come from? Because you've done countless other
I
pieces,
really have.
right? And
Right.
so I would love, to be able to show, just
Hmm.
of some of your work. And then we're going to talk about the cover of Madiba Magazine
Absolutely.
because your artwork is just it looks like the individual. It's so realistic.
Absolutely.
So
Well,
what,
so okay, so it depends. First of all, when I'm inspired by something, I can paint it pretty good. And so if you look at what I've done of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, it's like, whoa. Because that was my inspiration. And so and I have kind of two different methods that I use. And
right,
so if you look at like your father's painting, for instance, it looks different when you're close up on it, but when you're off of it, it looks more like a real picture.
right,
So it's kind of designed for that, so that when you're off of it, it looks more like exactly like him. So that's just my style of going about doing it. Sometimes I can't tell you what makes it happen. I
right.
just let the spirit just guides me to do it. And like even the cover for Madiba, that image there is kind of the same way. The further you pull it back, the
Mhm,
more, the closer you're on it, the more it looks kind of boxy and blocky. But the
mhm.
further you're back from it, you start to see the image. Yeah. So it's hard for me to paint things that don't inspire me. So your father was easy because he was very inspiring. He brought, life to the black community, with the teachers at Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So major figure. So sometimes, it's hard for me to do certain commissions because it's just not interesting, So yeah, so that's my motivation. It's usually when I can relate to the message of the person or the persona. And I'll say this: I built myself out as a portrait artist, and I really succeeded with that. But but I do concept pieces, but I can never finish them because commissions keep coming. Commissions keep coming. So so yeah, so I'm trying to move more into the my concept pieces.
Mhm.
And but here comes these big things, just continue. The universe is on just on me, and I love it, but it's tiring.
But
So
you also have different techniques because there's the artistry that you do with pencil and
oh
then
yeah,
oil painting, because there's also a piece, if I remember, I still have my shirt with former First Lady Michelle Obama,
right.
that piece. And then there in 2017, your artwork was featured at the 100 Black Men of Chicago Gala. And that was, if I'm not mistaken, was that a part of an auction?
Yeah,
Uh,
right. Right, they auctioned Michelle Obama off there.
okay.
Yeah, so I was on it. Yeah, Governor Pritzker, senators. It was big. You were there. It was a very, it was a very prestigious occasion. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, this has really been a journey and a learning experience, and it continues to take me down roads that I never thought that I would go down. And yes, I work with all medium. Prince, have you seen a Prince that I did?
Yes.
That was a very difficult piece of artwork because that's done in chalk. And so, yeah, so that's oil pastel chalk. So it's really messy
Hmm.
and it's just really messy. And so I can do chalk pieces, but it takes a lot of time. And so I kind of steer away from that.
Okay.
So high definition, photorealistic pencils, I do those. I can make oil paintings look like a photo too, like God's Child. The painting my most recent concept piece
Right.
is a close to photorealistic painting. I still have a few touches to put on it, but I paused everything so I can get this concept piece out. And so this is be real special because I'm going to really go hard in terms of marketing it and maybe doing events around its full release because I'm trying to show things other than just famous people, which is cool. But yeah.
So
Mhm.
let's talk about that particular piece, God's Child, and how it's on the cover of Madiba.
Well,
Let
well, 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 the rising sun is on the
or the
cover. The
right.
rising sun. This,
Okay.
all right. The cover of Madiba Magazine.
Okay.
Okay. Now, God's Child is something different. So, whichever one you would like to talk about.
Okay. I'm sorry.
That's
Let
okay.
let's talk about the rising sun. Now, how did you come to you know, get that particular piece on the cover of Madiba?
Okay. Well, it happened. I was approached by the editor of the publisher
Mhm.
and as an artist. And I was honored by that. And as he got to look at my work and know more about me. He was struck by my work, but he was looking for a cover at the time. And he said, "Man, I know I couldn't afford that, man, but man, that would make a good cover." And I said, "Yes, it would." That's why I said, "Go ahead, put it on there," because it's a quid pro quo. Hey, as long as I'm on here, and then he threw my name on it too, and did an expose on me. So that even made it even that much more, good as in terms of a marketing tool. But the most beautiful thing that I liked about this publication is that his idea marries my idea in terms of my purpose for being an artist. And I'm really trying to leave a legacy of positivity for the Black community, now and for the future. And so I don't really do any salacious things, and I've been asked to do things like that. This is enough of that. So it's warfare going on for the minds of the children. And so this painting, The Rising Sun, if you look at it, I have Bob Marley, and then I also have the sun. And when the sun is coming up, the light is coming into the darkness. And so you have it's not a completely light sky, but it's kind of, it's a mixture. And so Bob Marley's music was like that, it inspired people in a dark world, and it makes everybody liven up and feel better, just like the sun does. So I have him compared to the sun. So artistically, I'm drawing a comparison. And then you see the shore, and it gives you the Jamaica feel, and the colors are Afrocentric. So I think it's a good piece.
I love it. It's an excellent piece. And I assume there's also a feature story since
Yes,
your artistry is on the cover.
absolutely. There is a lovely feature story. I agree with it for the most part, but so bam, there I am looking better than what I do on camera.
And
And so here we go. I got a couple pages in there, and there's a few of my works in there.
yeah.
Yeah. So this, and I tell people, I sign these to people for $10, and I put a signature on it
Mhm.
because if I ever become someone,
You are already someone.
well, if I get on your level, then this will be worth 10 times more than what it is today. So if you choose to get it and you put it in a frame, then this could be a keepsake. And it's a print. It's beautiful. It looks good decor.
Yeah,
So yes, I'm really proud to be a part of this. And let me just talk about it for 1 second, if you don't mind.
absolutely.
Okay. Well, the title Madiba was a title that Mandela used to have.
Mhm.
And from what I understand, it stands for Warrior and Distinguished Gentleman. So this particular publication has as a moniker for the rebel in you. And I liked it. And it also focuses on the distinguished Black male, but it most certainly does not exclude the queens.
Mhm.
So I can't think of any magazine that's out that focuses on distinguished Black men. So in this, we have Grammy Award winning recording artist, Dr. Walt Whitman of the Soul Children of Chicago, who was my fourth grade music teacher. So I thank God he lent his personality to this. Then Dr. Obari Cartman, who's the president of Black Psychological Association. The cover story here is Soul Rebels. He has an article in here on that. Then it's great stuff. We got Prayer Warrior. I have a copy coming.
And that's such a great connection, though, to who you are in your history as well, in terms of having those two individuals featured in that magazine. So
Absolutely, I'm very proud of it, and I couldn't think of anything better to commemorate my journey as an artist. And so for me, this not only serves as a great marketing tool, but it will always be a keepsake for me and anybody that wants a piece of my art that's affordable. So if I'm doing a show, this will always be with me.
yeah, I was gonna say because now let me tell the folks I told them that I paid for my art from my dad.
Mhm.
So, you know, your talent is exceptional. So folks have to understand.
Yeah, well, Doc, I'll say this: I've reached into the tens of thousands as far as commissions. So I am grateful to you and everyone that has supported me along this way. I was doing a show early part of this year kicked off event after event after event. So I'm on stage, and I said I went from hundreds to thousands to tens of thousands, and that is the truth. And I'm hoping to get to hundreds of thousands. Hey, if I get to millions, fine, but hundreds of thousands is cool with me, so whatever
Now,
God allows.
how can people get a copy of the magazine so that they can get the affordable artwork at this moment in case they
Well,
are unable to commission you for the tens of
the
thousands?
things that they is got to. Well, what they can do is they can contact Rob C. Owens 74 at gmail.com. Did I say that right? Rob C. Owens 74 at gmail.com. And if you're interested, you just shoot me an email, and then we can exchange personal contact information. And if you're in a reasonable location as it relates to me, then I'll show up and maybe we could take a picture together with it. But if not, I'll mail it to you. Also, our merchandise. So some of my artwork is on shirts. So you may see me posting pictures of people with shirts. Somebody takes them out. I haven't taken pictures with everybody, but sometimes I get a chance to, and it just keeps a log on the fire.
Okay.
You know.
Now, now tell me, do you have any? I mean, because this is exciting itself, because I was saying before we came on air that you've been, it seems like cross country, means I've been trying to keep up with you. Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, this is a great way, to highlight your work, and you've been on several other shows. So I'm
Oh
just glad
yeah.
that you came onto my show.
Oh, you know what, Dr. Aginah, this is an illustrious platform. You are continuing a legacy of your illustrious father and mother. And this is always an honor. I don't care what happens with me. I always, come to your platform now. That's not a question.
Appreciate
Yes. So now I do want to say, I'm sorry.
it. Go ahead.
Okay, the next thing that I'm doing that I'm really under the gun with
And
is
that's what I was going
so
to
you're
ask.
about to ask, okay, yeah, I got commissioned to do the commemorative portrait for the filming of the movie The Color Purple in Marshville, North Carolina. And the title of the event is The Color Purple Walk. So many of the actors and actresses from the original movie will be there, as well as actors and actresses from the reenactment. So me being part of the event, I come up, I unveil my painting, and then the event is such that these celebrities would be taking pictures with it, and et cetera, et cetera. So it's a whole event. And this is December 2nd in Marshville, North Carolina. And I would like to send out a special thank you to Tamara Lawrence, who is the owner of Exposure Television, TV, and magazine. She actually secured the contract and connected me with the individuals that put me under contract. So it's pretty big.
That's awesome. That is
Mhm.
really exciting.
Yes, it is.
So, uh, I don't think that there will be an issue with you getting where you're trying to go.
Oh, yes, it seems to be going that way.
That is awesome. Now, how did they find you to select you to curate?
Well, social media is the most powerful tool on earth if you want to brand and market yourself. And so the more you post things, the more you talk about whatever it is you do, word of mouth begins to spread. And then if a person engages you in conversation because you have an interesting platform, then they find out more about you. And then these opportunities open themselves up to you. That's how that happened. but I can say this, and I'll say it humbly. I have people in line for tens of thousands of dollars, and it's a blessing, but it's such tedious and tiring work that doing these oil paintings is really hard and very time consuming. So I have no social life. It's me, paint, and psychotherapy in the fire department.
Well, you got to find some balance in there.
I really do.
Okay. If you listen to my podcast episode, I talked about creating balance. So
Okay, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna check it out. I'm gonna check it out.
um so again, tell people, just in case, how can they find you on social media and maybe potentially connect with you, if you even if you have some of your artwork that may be available as print for individuals, to purchase.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. This is where I'm weak. I need to get better with my social media understanding, but I'm on social media as Robert Owens on Facebook and on Instagram. I believe it is RCO Artistry. That's my Instagram. Once again, you can use my email address, robcowens74@gmail.com. Then you could call my phone number as well. It's 708-646-6997. And I'll be happy to field any questions. And I'll be most certainly happy to sell you a print of any of my work. So yeah, I'm available, and I'm very appreciative of anybody who seeks me out for anything art related.
Okay,
Mhm,
awesome.
mhm,
So, well, I just want to thank you for taking the time to come on and talk about your work. And, um, you know, I'm really excited, especially since you're going to be down in North Carolina. That has
yes.
become a second home for me.
Oh, really?
Well, my son and daughter are in North Carolina
Oh,
for
right, right, right.
school, so
Right.
I'm not sure how close Greensboro is to
Marshfield to Greensboro. Right. Okay.
but but I think that is very exciting because all of us are excited about the Color Purple
Yes.
re
Y-
uh, release. I guess
Yes. Yes. It's
that's
going to be it's going to be a very exciting thing, and I thank God I'm a part of it. And I
yeah.
will definitely give you the information once I have the specifics about the itinerary, and hopefully you'll be there.
Okay. Well, don't you be a stranger. So now
Oh, I won't.
I don't want you to. I want you to always remember we go back.
Oh yeah. Oh, come on now. Come on now. Always, always.
But no, I thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today and talk about your artistry. Again, thank you so much also for the beautiful piece of my late beloved father, Munir Muhammad. I
Mhm.
think you are an exceptional artist. And for those of you all who are listening or viewing the podcast, make sure you connect with Robert C. Owens.
Thank you.
And we'll make sure that your contact information is available in the show notes so that folks can connect with you. And we can
Absolutely.
connect so I can get my
Let's
sign.
do it. Let's do it. It's coming. Next week, I'll definitely get to you.
All right, sounds good.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in for this week's episode of Light It Up. Make sure you share this episode with friends, family. That's always appreciated. And make sure you follow, like, and subscribe to the podcast. So make sure that you come back next week to see if I have another very interesting guest on Light It Up podcast. In the meantime, please continue to light it up and shine bright like a diamond. Thanks for joining me this week on Light It Up. Make sure you visit my website at www.lightituppodcast.com or www.aginahmuhammad.com. You can also find me on social media using the handle at Light It Up Podcasts. If you like what you've heard, please be sure to hit the subscribe button so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, I'd appreciate a rating on iTunes, or you can simply tell a friend about the show. Be sure to tune in every Tuesday for a new episode. Until next time, light it up and shine bright like a diamond.